Kia ora, welcome to the workshop. It's been a long time and I've got to say I'm really proud of this project, but fair warning, the video's kind of really eclectic because it's been filmed over about 8 months and lots of stuff's changed. But yeah, it kind of matches the piece. The piece is really eclectic as well. So it all comes together to make a video that you are going to love. Many moons ago, Catherine got obsessed with singing in the church choir. So obsessed that a neighbour gave her a piano. She rushed out and bought some legs from Bunnings, and I threw together a top out of these old bits of pallet wood. But that wasn't going to be good enough, was it? So I uttered those famous last words. I'll build you a proper one. And then life happened. And here we are, many, many months later. Just about ready to put the thing together. This is probably my first piece of real furniture. It's got legs, it's got drawers, it's got a top, it's got a hinged lid, it's got all the things. I was, basically I was just constantly scared of it. This project's kill me, man. It's taken months and months and months, and to be honest, I'm only up to now the point where I have made material. To start us off, let's have a quick look at how I made all the materials. You can see my panel jig. I use that really heavily, but I've showed that in a lot of videos already, so I'll just really skim through this nice and quick. This job, I used a whole bunch of stuff. Driftwood from the beach, there's old door frames from the house when we renovated the front room, and of course heaps of pallet wood. So yeah, all sorts of stuff. Like I said, keeping to the theme, it's really eclectic. So this is the stuff that I used to make the box the drawers go in. The drawers themselves, maybe a few other bits and bobs. Process is just plane some pallet boards, make them a little bit smooth and the same thickness this way. Then cut them into strips. These ones are 40mm and 10mm, I think. The little ones are 10mm-ish. As long as they're the same for each row, it'll work. The more that are exactly the same, the easier it is. You do a little brickwork kind of pattern and you end up with a lovely flat board that you can use as a raw material out of pallet wood. So that'll go through the planer a couple of times to remove the glue and any high spots, and should be good to go. The tabletop. Now, the tabletop, this is the offcut from the end of it. Look at this. That's where I really started to think that, you know, maybe this is going to be all right. So yeah, the materials are just from the most humble beginnings turned into some of the most lovely wood that I've worked with yet. And yeah, yeah. I think it speaks for itself. It's the first piece of, I guess, lamination that I've done that looks like something that you might see on a YouTube channel that makes tabletops. I learned a lot about the joinery, seams and stuff like that, and they could be way, way better, but just working with nice wood as opposed to pine and the odd bit of hardwood from a pallet. So the thing that I'm calling the surround is the thing that goes on top and it kind of houses the piano itself. It's got a fold up lid. It's the bit that you're going to see the most. So I put, I guess, the most effort into making the materials for the surround. In fact, I put in a lot of effort into making this around. It's got driftwood, it's got stuff from the house, it's got bits and bobs that I found all over the place. It's made of in the panel, same as the basic pine stuff in the panel making jig. And lots of epoxy, lots of sanding, lots of figuring out how to put epoxy in a panel without making it, I don't know, having to do it 10 times as it all just seeps away. Anyway, the process of making the panels and stuff, I won't show a lot of it here because I've shown that in other videos. So anyway, just suffice it to say that these panels, by the time they were made and ready to cut, they were super valuable to me because I just put so much time into them. Yeah, as to whether they look great, that's kind of, I guess the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? And in the end, I like them. I had a lot of time where I liked them, didn't like them, hated them, loved them, all the things. So, yeah. In the end, I must say I loved them. The legs. I made the legs from the mega-slab that I made originally for the legs for the ladder shelf. Hopefully you've seen that video. If not, check it out. Yeah, so exactly the same as the material for the drawers, except it's like 45 mil thick instead of 15, 20 mil. So basically the only issues with the legs is material handling. Like you're learning to deal with bigger chunks of wood. So how do you balance while you feed it through the table and stuff like that? I have improvements to make, I will say that. But yeah, apart from that, it's just 4 long straight legs made out of laminated pallet wood mostly. Got some other bits and pieces in there as well, but mostly just laminated pallet wood. Good stuff, eh? I did do a tiny bit more material prep for the drawer fronts and for the wandy things that hold the pages of your book. Like when you're playing the piano, you've got, yeah. Anyway, that'll become apparent. But I've included those in the sections on making those things down the track. So I wouldn't want to put too much continuity into the mix. Anyway, let's get on with it. Let's make some things. I'm doing it. I've got my plan, my cutting list for the piano table box. I'm going to start with the piano table box because that's the cheapest material, the easiest material to make. That's just the plain pine slabs, these guys here. And I've realised I might have enough material, but I am going to have to glue some back together because it's 960. I think these are about 1.5. So 2 cuts at 960. It's not going to... You'll see what I mean. So 960 comes to there. These guys out of the way. Oh. 960 comes to there, which means I've only got 400 odd. I can get some of the ends and the dividers out of that. But the other thing is that the thing is 360 deep. So I'm going to have to slice off a bit of the second one and join it to the first one so I have enough depth on the table. So yes, still more gluing to do, but I am going to chop up as much as I can today and then yeah, glue the rest of the bits back together so I can get the rest of the materials out. And I think I should be right. I think I've got enough. All right, let's get into it. And there we have it, all the parts cut to width. In hindsight, that 980 by 80 that I had to redo, if I had have cut all the 960s at 980, I could have avoided that. But yeah, live and learn. Just take a minute to plan things a bit better and you avoid that sort of thing. Still, experience, eh? Now all we need to do is cross-cut them to final length. Job done. You can start to see what the bits are. We've got bottom, back, side, divider, side, and front. It's time for some joinery now, and this is the bit that I don't have hardly any experience in. So we'll start with the lowest value stock, which is for the box that goes underneath the tabletop, has a couple drawers in. And the first piece is just the back, the 960 by 65 piece, and I think all it has is a dado down the middle. So let's get set up for that and cut some joinery. Now, if my calculations are correct, and I know they are because I've already test fit this off camera, this will all fit together beautifully. That's a nice snug fit. This piece, 355 is not right, 360 wasn't right. I think it's 350. I'll have to check the drawing, or I drew it wrong, and I just had to sneak up on the finish. But yeah. Basically, the idea is that the base can expand and contract that way, so we can go out the back without too much trouble. So it's joined at the front, slides on the sides. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of how it works. That goes like that. That goes like that. So you can see that just sits on top. Like that. Like that. Wee box. Pretty happy with that. So I need a way to attach it to the tabletop. So I'm just going to use pocket screws because you won't see it. These bays are for drawers. So I'll just put some pocket screws in these four guys. I think it's okay. There you have it. We'll leave that guy to dry. You know it's square because the base fits in. And yeah, I think that will make a very serviceable box. I thought I should just put a bit of wax on. These surfaces are never going to be seen again really, so kind of last chance. This is just beeswax with a little bit of mineral oil, so just to give it a little bit of protection. The tabletop. Now it's only 1080 long, so that would come to roughly there. So I'm going to have some spare. The trick with this guy is I don't think I'm comfortable doing it on the table saw, so I'm going to lob the end off with my circ saw. And yeah, my skills with the circ saw aren't great, but we'll get there. And the edges, the ends are hidden inside the surround anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, it will be good enough. So let's do it. I don't offer a heap of tips on this channel, and it's a beginner woodworker channel, so I'm learning and you can learn with me. But one thing I have learned, and a tip that I would like to pass on is if you're doing something that you're not confident with, spend more time in setup. My tendency is to see if I can get away with it. But for something like this, where I've put a lot of time and effort into making the panel and I'm not confident about making this cut, I've spent time making sure that this isn't gonna move and it's all set up perfectly so that when I make the cut, I give myself the best chance of not effing it up. So let's give it a crack. And as always, when I spend a whole lot of time making sure everything is perfect in the setup, I'll F up something small. So that's my line there. I've missed it by heaps. Oh, sorry, bit of sweat. And what I've done is measured 32 mil from my guide when I needed to measure 38. Fortunately, I've cut it long, and it doesn't matter anyway because I have excess material up there. But yeah, I've missed my marker by a mile. I intended to cut these pieces off. Never mind, we'll cut it again. Joys of a small shop. All right, try again. Much better. For this second cut, I've deliberately set it up so it should cut a bit long, so that takes care of this end piece. I can just maybe do it one-handed and hold on to this, and then come back and cut it to final length, and that'll be good, right? Sure, why not? Final cut. Lovely. Done! All right. This is the bit I've been worried about. I have my cut list for the surround, and I'm about to hack into my fancy wood. Now, I think I mentioned earlier, maybe, if it makes the cut, that this stuff took a long time to make. So it's all driftwood and scraps, pine, epoxy conglomerate, and yeah, I'm very nervous, very, very nervous about chopping it up. So, but gotta do it. So let's do it. Perfect. So there's all of the materials for the piano table surround, ready for joinery. Nervous about this, but it's also kind of integrated with the tabletop, the big Remu slab. Kind of all these bits. It's time to cut them, cut the joinery. Yeah, fun times. So let's get it marked up and start making. It's gonna be good. This is essentially how it goes together. You've got the back piece, which just sits on top. This front piece is joined in the corner here at each side. So that gets recessed in there. The top and the back gets recessed into the sides. So that's how that all gets kind of held together. There's a rabbet runs down the bottom of the tabletop and it slides into a dado that's in the sides. But kind of the upshot of it is that really the only things that need cutting are some rabbets and dados in the end pieces. So that's what we're doing right now. That's it. So I've marked these guys up. This is inside left and inside right, and I've set them up in a way so you can see this gets cut off diagonally, kind of like that. So like that, then I lose this kind of boring bit of pine when I cut the diagonal. All right, next I'm going to set up the dado stack, figure out how to cut some stopped dados, and cut the rabbets in this guy and this guy. Let me show you what I've done here. So just try to be a bit more clear. There's a channel, a dado that gets taken out of this piece of wood that stops before it gets to the end and then goes down like that. So I'm going to cut this one. This is what I'm setting up for here. What I've done is I've made a mark. Hang on, I'll get a pointer. There. That front mark there is where the teeth stop hitting the wood. And that mark there is 1 centimetre in front of it. So I run that through there until I get to this back mark. Then the teeth will stop cutting 1 centimetre from the back, which is where that line is that you can't really see on the dark wood. But I'm 40% sure this is going to work. And anyway, I'm just trying to get as much cut with the table saw before I start making a real hash of it with hand tools. So let's see if we can do that. Clock on. So this cut might be a bit sketch. It feels safe to me, so I'm gonna do it, but do your own research. So basically this one's opposite. So I've got to start past the blade, come back a tiny bit and then go through. So well, there you go. That's why you don't do it. Yep, sketch. Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. As soon as you pull it towards you, it wants to come and throw the bit of wood at you. So, lesson learned. It was easily controlled when I was dropping it down, straight down. So that bit was okay. I should have just given up a bit of material here and just gone straight down and then that way. Always feed the wood into the blade. Lesson learned. I think the fix for this, because this is the front corner, you will see this bit. So the fix is to just run it through and then I'll glue a piece back in there. Little blocky block glued in there. I'll trim that up and you'll, yeah, never know what happened. All right, particularly seeing I still have my fingers. Yes, let us speak no more of it. It's time to cut the tabletop. So we've got this groove in there and I want the top of it to fit into the groove, so I need to cut the bottom off. Let me just get some light in there. There we go, that's a bit better. So I need to cut this bottom piece off, and I've just used setup blocks on the table saw to set the blade to cut 15mm up, so it'll cut up to there, and 5mm in. Should get it to sit nicely inside that groove. Love that. What do you reckon? Took some finagling to get it to fit, I'll say that. But yeah, it all fits nicely. I'll just take it apart. So the back slots in to the rabbets. All nice. It just sits on top there. And these ones slot in to the dado. So basically, if you got this guy in here, you can pick the whole thing up with this. So that's how it's supposed to be. I'm pleased, very pleased. Put on my fingers. Wow, seeing it for the first time together. That's a lot of bits and bobs. Very, very busy. But I'm worried about it being a bit of a Frankensteinian piece. And I think it will be that. But that's okay. That's okay. It will be interesting at the very least. I just wanted to jump on and let you know that I've just finished sanding all of this lot down to 240 grit. So 80, 120, 240. Hello, Mr. Pod. How you going? Yeah, including 2 water pops on the tabletop to make it extra smooth. And yeah, I think you guys can thank me in the comments below for sparing you footage of all of that. All right, let's put it together, eh? Looks a lot nicer now that it's sanded. Yeah, it's still very, very busy. I really think that's not too bad. Question for the Kiwis out there. What do you think this timber is? I've been calling it rimu, but I don't think it is. And the reason for that is when you sand it, there's no smell. Yeah. When I sand this piece, there's a really distinctive smell. So I think that is rimu. This is not. So this used to be door frames around doors in a 50-year-old house. Looks very similar, not the same, but yeah, it doesn't have that same smell. So any ideas? All right, next job with this guy, with the surround, is you want to be able to rest your music on here while you're playing away on the piano, right? So what I need is a solution to hold this up at the right angle. So let's do that now, eh? That should do the trick. Bonza. Hopefully I've fixed up the problem that I made at the front here with these two extra pieces. Yeah, it was all a bit too floppy. I kind of thought it might be, but there's some joins that go right through and had no support. Anyway, I think that's all good now. And now I need to make some drawers. So you know how that goes. Plain, edge, rip, all that. So let's get on with that. Good progress. I made up the drawer boxes. I think they came out fairly well. I actually used the finger joints here because I made that finger joining jig specifically for this project. I was going to use it for the surround, but I'm glad I didn't do that. I skimmed through most of the footage of using it because it ain't a how-to video, let me put it that way. Yeah, new to that. They're really solid and quite square. So I think in that respect they're quite good, but yeah, really fiddly. It took ages. Anywho, is what it is. So from here I need to use all the scraps that I've got left over to make the drawer bottoms and tidy these guys up. And yeah, let's race through that. They've come up pretty well. I mean, a bit of sanding, a bit of touch up. The joints actually look pretty nice, so fairly happy with that. And if you check that out, They actually fit. How good is that? Alright, what's next? I need to make the bottoms. So, let's make the bottoms. So I figured out that with all of the scraps, I have just enough to do both bottoms. So even to join this guy together as a test piece for the finger joints. Anyway, it's perfect. So let's stick it together. Ta-da! That's come up pretty well. Yeah, just scrape it. It's just been drying for just a bit over an hour. If you scrape it then, it's really easy to get the stuff off. So yeah, if you can remember to do that, do that. I'm going to let this dry a bit more before I bother it too much. So yeah, move on to something else. But yeah, quick and easy. There we go. That was my first go at using dust collection, and it is, yeah, well, I mean, dust collection for small tools like the sander makes a huge difference, but that's not sustainable. Benefit of working with laminated material, I managed to cut this one at 337 instead of 347. Clearly says 347. Anyway, I just sticky taped and glued the offcut back on. For the runners, I'm just going to whack a channel roughly in the middle for these guys, and then a runner for them to run on in the box. So I'll just throw in the dado stack back on, and yeah, we'll just make a really light channel. Make sure the front of the box, the top, is against the fence so they're the same distance apart, and yeah, that should work out. Next up, we'll make some runners out of this scrap. Good to use some scrap out of the bin. This bunch of blocks fits perfect, so we'll make it snug, and then it'll come down a little bit when I sand it, so there'll be plenty of room for sliding. So that should be plenty. I've got 2 of those. They fit nicely in the channel. So I've just got to get the width, the thickness right, so that when everything's in there, it slides nicely. So let's figure that out. So if that is flush over there, the gap is at 3 mil. So the depth plus 1.5 mil should be about right. And the depth is roughly 4 mil. So that's right, 5.5. Let's go 6. See how it looks. I think that's actually pretty good. If I just sand them down, I reckon it'll be lovely. So I think it's about right. Bit snug, but I think that's okay. Is good. Alright, well, that all seems to work. Now I've just got to figure out how to mount them. There's always another thing, isn't there? Can't tell with that side of the ruler. Too blind. Yeah, 33. 33, 33, 33. So if I make them, how much space have I got? 35 spaces. 35 mil. So I've just made a couple of spaces that kind of split the difference. Then you can put that on top and the drawer ends up being exactly the right height, I guess. So spacer either side, then I can fix on the drawer on it. So let's get that done. I'll just do 2 pins and then test it before I finish everything off. So right, take them out, test the drawer. It's going to work beautifully. What else? Lovely. There we go, gap's good. Very nice. I've just got the dado stack set up and I'll take a little bit off 3 sides, just sneak up on a fit. So I've sanded the bases up to 120. I think that's enough. And yeah, drawers are pretty much done. Okay. Slide in. So I'm not going to glue them. I'll just put some pins in. I'll give them a bit of room at the front. Put a couple of pins in and then they can move up and down in that direction, which is probably where they're going to move. Let's see if they still fit. Lovely. Next, we need some drawer fronts, and if I could trust my bandsaw to rip straight, I could probably get both out of these 2 bits, which would be great, but I can't. So I'm going to use this. Do you remember there's a bendy bit? So I'm going to make that into small pieces that are easy to make flat, and then that can be drawer fronts. So let's do that. In classic fashion, I couldn't find a pattern that I liked with those guys, so I've sliced them up. And now I've got to glue them back together. Hurrah! I think that's the last glue up of this build. Because I glue the legs on, glue the fronts, anyway, close to the last glue up of this build. Almost there. So these guys, they're just a sacrificial piece of scrap so that I don't get any snipe on the ends of these. First time I've tried that trick and it seems to have worked. So yeah, very happy. drawer fronts. No. That's exactly what you don't want to do. So I've used the old card trick to try to get the gaps about right. I've got my calipers here to measure the distance from the ends and have a nice consistent gap in the middle. So now I'm just going to put a screw through there, which will join the drawer fronts to the drawer boxes. I think that'll work. I think that's okay. I'll just lock them in with screws on the front, on the back, and then I'll take everything apart and glue it together. And it'll be awesome. So last piece of the puzzle is these legs. I've already got them made up. So just need to turn them into 4 legs. The back legs are straight, about I think they're 730mm long, and the front ones are on a 8-degree angle, and they're about 737 long. So let's chop them in half, roughly. It's about 750 to the middle, and then go from there. Now we just use some differential measurement to get this right. So these legs sit kind of like that, but there's a cutout. Back ones don't matter. This is the front wrap. Not that that doesn't matter either. So if we do the cutout to roughly there, that'll be cool. The same for this one. Cut out to roughly there. That'll work. And then these guys, they sit like that. So I'm going to put this one on this side. Plonk that there. That one. Just cut that out. I'll do the angled ones first because I'm set up for that. And there you go. Very nice. This second one is living in opposite land, so he's got to be angled like that, not like that. So this one goes like that. And this one goes like that. Lovely, and you can see, maybe, I'm not sure if you can see in this shot, but the edge of this holds the bottom so that I can leave it free to slide back and forth with wood movement as it expands and contracts. So it'll only be connected at the front with glue, if that makes sense. It'll kind of unfold later. I'm not going to show you the same thing again on the legs because it's just the same except easier. So I'll catch you when that's done. Made myself a drill guide. I'm just going to bung some holes in it. I'm going to screw this. I'm going to put some inserts in this guy and bolts through from the outside. I think that'll look quite nice. So yeah, let's just make some holes. I think it'll be all right. Cool. I think the drill could potentially use a sharpen or a bin. Anyway, it's just a way of making holes, and I made holes. And that's kind of it. Looking pretty good. Next thing I need is something to hold the paper down. So if you imagine opening a book, it's going to want to fold and the pages will fly. So we need something to kind of, I don't know, clamp onto the pages. If it was a woodworking thing, it would be clamp. It's probably not clamp. Anyway, let me see if I can figure something out. I'm not super confident with the router, and particularly not with the plunge router, but my idea is to kind of embed these things in the surface of this guy, and then I have my pointers which will then go over the top, and I've got a little doovalaki which you'll then be able to use to hold down your pages. And that's the plan. So I've marked up a little kind of channel I want to route out, and I've got guides, so I can't stuff it up in that direction. And it doesn't really matter if I go too far in that direction because the whole thing is a patchwork, and I'm going to put them far enough down that I'll put a little skin over the top, so you'll kind of not even know it's there. That's the plan. It doesn't really matter if I go a bit long. So yeah, the workpiece is held down, the rails are held down. I think I'm all good, just as long as I don't go all the way through to the other side. We should be good. There you go. Don't know what I was worried about. That's lovely. Sits down, good 5mm, and didn't go through this other side, so we all good. I'll just do the other one off camera, and yeah, choice, love it, new skills. I think this thin rip jig might be my new favourite tool. I've just got a little block. I'll rip a couple of slices off and use it to patch the holes I've just made over the top of the steel. So, that'll work. Bound to work. I think that's come up pretty well and not going anywhere. So I'll just pare it down with a chisel and give it a sand, and it'll be ready for finish. I'll tell you what, it's starting to feel like it's all worth it. Check that out. And this is just buttery soft. It is still very eclectic, but you know, still cool, I reckon. Very interesting at the very least. just forge ahead and you'll learn. This piece has got so many mistakes, and that's fine. Not the least of which is design. But yeah, it is what it is, and I've learned so much, and it's been great. Raw materials up. This has got driftwood. It's got material reclaimed from inside the house from some doors. It's got classic pallet wood. It's got everything in it. It's got panel making. It's got all the stuff. It's a really cool project, but it's a bit eclectic. But that's okay. And I'm starting to get a real flow. I'm starting to walk out to the shop and go, yes, let's do this, and then that, and then that, and oh, that didn't work, I can fix it. That kind of stuff. It's coming, and it's really very exciting. But it's still coming.